What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Screen Crusader podcast. This is Tex-Mex Morty with you, joining you live. Let me go ahead and just jump straight into it. We'll go ahead and bring the other panel members over here. So let me open up the floodgates. How's it going, you guys? I could hear somebody have them on speakerphone because I could kind of hear myself.
Yeah,
where did I go?
Here too.
Alright, so let me just finish posting something. I'm going to tag, of course, my fantastic Screen Crusaders, who I will introduce right now. We have Mr. Johnny Joestar joining us today. How you doing, Mr. Joestar?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good as always. Well, I mean, I will say I did have a crazy ass weekend, but I mean, as far as it goes, everything is good.
All right, crazy good, crazy bad.
It started out bad, but then it was good because I just had to dog sit. So that was, that was my first time dog sitting that I almost lost a dog.
Oh
so
man,
that was something.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Not the doggo.
Yeah, but it came back though. He came back. Thankfully, it wasn't anything crazy. But I didn't realize that this dog was very strong. So it was kind of freaking Ace just took off, without even no disregard for anybody else, just because some random person knocked at the door. So yeah, it was just all this craziness because I didn't know that they were that energetic, and I just try to crack open the door and say, "Yeah, can I help you?" And then out of the blue, the dog just went and stuck his head all the way through from that small crack and ended up opening the door and pushing me back. And I was like, oh god. And that lady's like, oh my gosh, I have the wrong house. And I was like, you fucking yeah.
I bet that's what the ring.
Correctamundo.
That's what the ring capture has. The audio capture was probably just like, oh, you mother.
Yeah.
Piece of. But anyway. You should have told me so I could press the button, Mr. Oyman. Now we're gonna get flagged.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we could hear you.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we can hear you.
Because I'm not showing up on the Gilded app.
Well, nobody is. Actually,
Actually,
Mr. Oyman, you are the only one showing up on my screen right now.
I just went away. Check again.
Yeah.
Went away again.
No, yeah, you went away.
But
God. OBS is saying
hear each other.
OBS is saying that they can still hear you, but of course
OBS is being some old BS.
No introductions needed. Obviously, my co-host, Mr. Oyman, is
fantastic.
Here. What is up? Oh, that's right. My fantastic co-host, Mr. Oyman, is here. What is up, my man?
Up, I just got done rock climbing again and falling on my ass and hurting my back, and yeah, we're off to a great start.
Nice.
All right. And what's it called? The last panel member for today we have is Mr. JT. How you doing, JT?
I am doing great. This
I'd
weekend
like to hear.
was it was all right. Miss Cap cannot make it up today because she has wisdom teeth surgery, so she'll be out this week as she's healing. But she says hi from her bedroom. So yeah.
So you're telling me it's a guys only night on the Screen Crusader podcast?
Yes, it is a guys only night.
We're about to get shut down. We're about to get shut down. And of course, quick shout out, we do have Derpy Entertainment with us today. How you doing, Derpy? So let's go ahead and bring up the panel, or not panel. You guys are the panel, the bulletin board. What am I talking about? Let's go ahead and bring up the bulletin board and see what we got on for today. We don't got a lot on the board today, just a couple of little things here and there. To start off, we'll kind of go into a little bit of the gaming stuff. Or actually, before we start any of that, some of you guys went to go see Shazam! Fury of the Gods, didn't you?
I saw it 3 times.
Oh shit! Was it actually good? Give us for those who did see it, give us a brief rundown of what was y'all's initial impressions on it. Obviously, without going too much into details, since it's not a topic, and since it is a fresh new movie, we'll try to keep spoilers to a minimum. I mean, other than what Warner Brothers and their TV spots have been doing. But
it
other than
came out?
yeah, it came out this weekend. Jeez, their marketing is bad. Obviously, if one of our panel members
lower than Morbius.
Well, surprisingly, I found out that this weekend, I don't know if it got re-released or what, but Everything Everywhere All at Once just beat Morbius' domestic box office. I'm like, what the?
And they both came out of the same day too.
Yeah, how on earth, man? I lost a little bit of hope for our country here, because how the hell did we let that happen? But going back on topic, why don't you, Mr. Oyman, and I believe JT, obviously Mr. Joestar hasn't seen it because he's not even aware it's out. But you guys,
what the hell?
you two guys,
I really wanted to see it too. That was the fucked up part, because I was like, I really want to see that movie, and I just completely. Well, I've been thinking about other stuff, so I mean, it's not like.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I tried to make the time to go watch it. I personally didn't get a chance to. But we'll go ahead and.
You all haven't seen it yet.
No. But again, I don't mind if it's a little bit spoiler or not. Mainly think of what.
There's not really much to spoil other than what the trailer's already shown. So.
All right. Well, then, Mr. Oyman, I'll let you go first and give your impressions where it did good, where it failed, stuff like that.
So I'll be really quick about it. So Shazam 2, directed by David F. Hamburg. It's same director as the first one. I think he did a really great job with this movie. I think it's not as strong as the first one, but it does have a lot of the same, even though it's not as strong as the first one overall, because the first one had a little bit more of that sense of originality, having the concept of the movie Big with Tom Hanks, but applied to like a superhero setting. This one kind of loses that a little bit because, it's a sequel, but it's very, very funny. The script is really clever at times. Other times the writing's not so great. They definitely spent a lot of money on it, even though I heard the budget for it actually wasn't that big compared to some of their other more recent DC movies like Black Adam. I thought it looked better than Black Adam. What's his name? Zachary Levi continues to kill it. I'm not really sure if they're going to continue on with him. It's the end of the movie implies that they will continue with Shazam, but now with James Gunn rebooting everything, who knows? It's all up in the air. But Jack Dylan Grazer as his friend Freddy, he was in the movie quite a bit. He did a great job as well. I'd say go out and watch it, or at least watch it when it comes to streaming. It's definitely worth a watch. Not quite as strong as the first, but still a fun movie. I probably put it about on par with Ant-Man Quantumania.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay. And would you agree with that, JT, or what are your thoughts on it?
No, actually, I absolutely agreed with that. Shazam 2 has a very clever script. Actually, I was surprised. It was a lot more funnier than the first one, I thought. But again, just what Mr. Oyman said, the first one was much stronger than this one. Mm-hmm. But again, great action sequences. But just like the fight scene was really good, was really clever.
Sold it.
And but I have to say, guys, like as a guy, the whole like Shazam family, they are so fine as superheroes. You guys have no idea because like the suits are well defined, if you know what I mean. So
big booty.
Besides the plot, like the suits are, on fire.
Oh yeah, no, I would say I want to watch it just for that Grace chick.
I personally enjoyed it.
This was the first DC movie where the costumes didn't change really, like in between movies. Like every superhero movie, they change the costume a little bit. I don't think they changed the costumes at all. They all look the same, which is kind of cool because they shouldn't change. They're all the same, Yeah, no reason.
Bulges everywhere, you know what I'm saying?
Bulges on the muscles and butts and other areas.
Yeah, butts. Yeah.
Nothing like waking up to bulges in your cup. You know what I'm saying?
But yeah, no, it's a fun movie. It really is.
all seriousness, it's a great film. Watch in theaters. As DC fans, we should support this movie because nobody in the whole freaking DC fans do not support this movie. I didn't know why, because we are a bunch of dicks, right? As DC fans, we don't support our own movies. I'm like, guys, what are you guys talking about? Anyway,
I saw it 3 times.
Go and see the movie. It's great.
The theaters were pretty empty. Like there were people, but opening weekend, it was not. Not what I expected.
Well, obviously, we got a little bit of a factor in here that the marketing was probably not as strong as it could have been because I almost forgot about it, but I didn't.
It for, yeah, well, it's because they kept pushing it, though.
Yeah,
like,
well, that's what I'm saying.
Set release. It's supposed to come out forever ago.
But like once it got closer to the date, I mean, I saw a couple of ads here and there in the gym, but like obviously, Mr. Johnny Joestar over here, he wasn't even aware. But do you guys think it was that, or was it mainly just for the fact that we got this new DCU on its way, and a lot of people are just like,
"That's right."
I agree with that.
Yeah,
that's exactly right.
People are gonna turn out for the Flash because they keep having Tom Cruise endorsing it, and
I read that
for Batman and stuff.
Yeah.
So,
I think it was on Instagram, but I'm not really sure where they actually made like a clip. It's like DC where you can't actually see the characters' faces because James Gunn is gonna rewrite every single character for the next future. It's like, oh god, yeah. I mean, it's well known that they're not really hyping a bunch of stuff up. The only one that was like pretty much the biggest one would have been the Flash because of the fact that that's basically ground zero. Mm-hmm. So. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. I'm still psyched over that movie.
Yeah, but I wonder how the general audience will take from it, knowing that that is technically not going to be part of the movie verse going forward. It's going to be the launching point, but people like you and I know that. Majority of the people who probably skipped on Shazam because of this reason might not know that. So we'll just have to wait and see how that one performs. But it unfortunately looks like this movie...
Shazam had a big opening, like it had good audience scores. The newest one had better audience scores than the first one. Lower critic scores, though. And it also opened way lower than the first one.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It's just a shame that it does appear that some of that PR nightmare of the whole reset and this, people are playing it as a wait out and see approach instead of just investing in this because it's a dying franchise. But if it is a solid movie...
audiences know it'll be on Disney Plus in a month, or HBO Max in a month. So
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it just... It had a bunch of stuff
much competition
going against it that it just... Unfortunately, even though it's not a bad movie, according to you guys, it sounds like it's being skipped. But let's go ahead and move on to...
It is fun.
Or actually, before... let's go, since it doesn't sound like... So I don't have like a mid-ground one, so we're gonna say, would you rate it a?
And I've got to say, in all
one
honesty,
of those, a bruh,
I gotta tell you,
or a perfect.
It was perfect, everything down to the last.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Bruh is the closest one. Bruh is the closest one I had to a mid-ground. I didn't have a button that was like. I guess maybe a John Wick. I'm back.
I'm thinking I'm back.
I would give it a very solid 7.5 out of 10.
Okay, that's pretty good.
Actually, I would agree with you, and also piggyback Mr. Oinman earlier comments. I really hope that Shazam will be a part of the new DCEU because Zachary Levi is such. I mean, he's fun. He's a fun character playing Shazam, and he does a great job at impersonating Billy. That hopefully his comic would kind of translate to the new DCEU, but we'll see. So we'll see how it goes.
We'll see. Only time will tell. But according to our first bulletin board, is the Suicide Squad game gets pushed again potentially. The sources that Mr. Jason Schreier gets, which he's usually a very credible source when it comes to the video game industry. He claims that his sources tell him that the video game, after being shown off on one of the latest PS State of Plays, that it got a lot of feedback that was not very positive. It just looked, in my opinion, it looked very generic. It looked like everyone was fighting kind of the same. It looked almost Fortnite-y, if you were to ask me, which is a shame because I feel like each one of those characters should have been its own thing. I don't see why King Shark needs a jetpack and a gun when he should have like hands and feet on the ground. And Captain Boomerang also
he eats people.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Like,
but in this game,
Christ.
he's like flying in the air and shooting stuff with the sniper, and again, like floaty like a Fortnite character.
What the hell?
But if you
That's
haven't
so
seen
stupid.
that gameplay, I would suggest looking it up, making your own assessments of it. This game hasn't won me over ever since they announced it, which is kind of sucks because I like the concept. I like these characters. I just don't like what they're doing with them, and it seems like I'm not alone. So after that showing on the state of play, it looks like they're taking it back a little, and they're going to be quote-unquote polishing it up. So my question to any of y'all that is looking forward to this is, do you think that pushing it just a few months to maybe from the summer all the way to potentially the beginning of next year, will that make a difference? Or once you see that it's not quite what we thought it would be, that it obviously a little bit of polish is not going to be able to, like, and I think Jason Schreider also says it in the article, that they can't change gameplay mechanics. So obviously King Shark is still going to be flying like goddamn Superman in the air, shooting a sniper 360 no-scope type of bullshit. And how do you guys feel about that? Oh, I'll start with you, Mr. Joestar. Do you think that pushing it back is a good idea, or do you think that they should just cut their losses, and obviously they can't change the gameplay, so they should just push it out as it is?
I mean, quite frankly, like, if it's just like another regular big MMO, like, I honestly just think that they should just push it out there because it's not gonna do well. 'Cause honestly, like, if they're trying to do, like, I hate the fact that now, like, honestly, I've just realized that more and more like games are just basically like mass multiplayers, and it's so stupid because I mean, for guys like me that don't really have time to actually play those, or I'm just too fucking tired from working my ass off all day, like, dude, having to fucking compete with the Mr. 6-year-old kid who gets to stay up as much as he wants and does whatever the hell he wants, like, and just play video games. Like, if coming into this, like, you have to like start from rank 0, and then this kid's already like at 50, like, that's just like the biggest downer. Because, like, I mean, no offense to gaming all around, but like, it has really taken a backseat on my part, especially when it comes to like games that are just not well made. Like, for this, I haven't seen any other game. I think I might have seen like small bits and clips of it, and I didn't see King Shark do that, like with the jetpack shit.
Well, because before the state of play, all they showed was like cinematics. They never actually showed the gameplay.
Yeah. Okay. So then that was cinematics. I was like, I would have said because that was the only thing I saw. But that's like another thing. Like, I mean, why would you want to do something like that, though? I mean, unless they were to actually, I guess they were trying to do like what Guardians of the Galaxy was trying to do, and like Guardians of the Galaxy made a really well done game. But as far as like you trying to like, each one has its own abilities, and they made them separate, so each one had its own thing going on. But it's just like, well, we want to play all those different characters in different ways, and that's what makes it like the game like more valuable, to replay it again. And as far as it goes, man, like I don't see like a good thing coming from this, and they should just either just scrap it or just fucking. I would just rather tell them just don't make it.
Either that or personally push it out for free. Like it
yeah. I mean, yeah.
Because the next thing I'm gonna say, because it is on the bulletin board, if you were to look closely enough, another thing that came out of the gameplay is the fact that they made it similar to Fortnite and Warzone and all that. They made a like battle pass type system, where that's why King Shark and all of them play the same, because it's more or less changing your skin outfit and the main combat stuff where it matters to change it out you had to use a battle pass system in order to like mod your guns and put this scope or this color on. And yeah, like, oh, you got X amount of headshots. You leveled up, and on your next level up, you get a stock for your gun. Or I think they described also that they're going to incorporate other Batman or DC villains' powers. But it sounded kind of BS-y because they were like, oh, yeah, we got this Bane attachment to your gun that shoots venom and it powers up your thing. And all it was on the screen was the same gun shooting the same projectile. All it was that it was a neon green bullet now. And the damage modifier numbers were popping up at the top. Like, oh, it's doing more damage. So in light of that type of stuff with the battle pass system and all that, JT, I know you were looking forward to this game. Does that sway you in any direction, or do you not give an F about all that?
I'm disappointed, and I don't know who did it, Rocksteady, or I don't know who's the developer, but I am disappointed because if you're doing a Batman type game, kind of just follow like the Batman Arkham games, like back in the day, where it's grounded. You can fight bad guys. I think doing the Suicide game, especially when you're teaming up with King Shark and Harley Quinn and Captain Boomerang and all these other bad guys, and Brainiac, and just have that gritty style, because all this Fortnite crap, that's not battle pass. Dumb skins, dumb microtransactions, dumb. All I want in a game, in a Batman game or whatever game, is grounded, beating up bad guys, having abilities, updating your gadgets, having like some cool skins that you can unlock for free if you do certain things. But this is such utterly ridiculous. I don't care anymore. They can scrap it. They can kill it. I won't pay $60 for this game.
70.
Oh yeah.
Next topic.
I
I don't want to talk about this
By the time
anymore.
it comes out, it'll be $80.
Yeah,
no,
for
it's gonna be
real.
70, but it's gonna be like Gotham Knights. Comes out at 70, and then like 2 weeks later, it's like $30 because ain't nobody buying it. Yeah, that's why sometimes it pays to wait a little. But like JT said, let's go ahead and move on to something that Mr. Oyman would be a little bit more up his alley. So we do have a couple weeks ago.
Alley, huh?
Yeah, we had IGN at least, and I know it was something about Reddit. Yeah, so here it is. I pulled it up on the screen, and it looks like Sam Raimi was
I can't
doing.
see the screen, by the way. So.
Well, it was Sam Raimi doing a Reddit Ask Me Anything. With
what? I missed it.
Wait, what?
Damn it!
Oh,
I missed his AMA.
It was a couple weeks ago, like 13 days ago, 12 days ago. But he and Ghosthead production head Romo Adam, and director of development Jose Canas, apparently are trying to come up with a story that would work for Drag Me to Hell. So they're potentially working on a Drag Me to Hell sequel. What, like? So
wait, like a movie?
Yeah, like
not a game?
No, a movie with Raimi to Drag Me to Hell. It looks like he's
first I'm hearing about this.
Really? I thought you would have already heard about it. How does
I would have too. I follow all the Evil Dead and Sam Raimi, Bruce Campbell stuff, but I haven't heard anyone mention it.
Well, yeah, I mean, I do hear that the Evil Dead Rise is doing pretty well on those like places that they're showing it at. So it looks like Sam Raimi's on his stride here. But what do you feel, Mr. Oyman, about Drag Me to Hell 2? Do you think there is untapped potential there? Do you think or do you think like that should have been a one and done movie?
Easily a one and done. I mean, she's dragged to hell. Like, what more do you? She come out of hell and you drag her back, or you dragging someone else to hell? I mean, I guess they could do it with a new character, but like, or they could just redo it like they did with Evil Dead 1 to Evil Dead 2, where the second one just kind of recaps the first one and then like changes it up. I guess they could do something like that. I mean, the thing with Evil Dead, or the thing with the first Drag Me to Hell movie was it was basically just, it was Raimi doing another Evil Dead movie just with a slightly different premise. Instead of Kandarian demons possessing people in a cabin in the woods. It's about just a woman who's like has a witch that keeps chasing her around. Says she'll be dragged to hell if she doesn't do something. I'll be honest, it's been a few years since I watched it, but I don't know about a sequel. I mean, I'd rather see Raimi just do something else. Like, I mean, I like when he does his original stuff. He was talking about doing a Doctor Strange 3. I'd like to see that more so than Drag Me to Hell. But I really want to see him come back and do one more Evil Dead movie, since Bruce Campbell said he'll only come back as Ash if Raimi is directing.
Okay. Well, here's a little quick question though. If they are making a sequel, let's say, even if it's like an anthology type of deal where it follows somebody else, now that Sam Raimi, there is a decent amount of like, I guess you could say trust with him, obviously, because they're bringing a bunch of his other franchises back, and he was handling Doctor Strange 2. Do you think the Drag Me to Hell sequel should be a little bit darker and be more creepy and be rated R, or do you think a PG-13 for the first one did it a little bit of a disservice?
The first one wasn't. First of all, they got away with a lot in PG-13 in the first one, but it definitely leaned into Raimi's slapsticky, goofy horror sensibilities, like he did with Doctor Strange and Evil Dead. So if someone else wanted to take a crack at Drag Me to Hell movie and take the same premise, but like make it really darker, like they did with Fede Alvarez's Evil Dead in 2013, and then Lee Cronin's new Evil Dead Rise. If they want to do something like that, I'd be down for that. I just I don't know how you do a direct sequel to the first one, unless the girl breaks out of hell and then they're trying to drag her back. I don't know.
Well, what if she never leaves hell and she is in hell? Oh, that is true. So
unless they screw him up again.
Well, tell me, Mr. Joe
actor,
wasn't
I
it Justin
forgot
Long?
what his name is.
It was Justin Long, wasn't it?
Yes. Like, and almost in every horror movie he's in, like, they totally fuck him up. So, like, guess what? Maybe it's his turn. He never gets away with it. Like,
that's right. I forgot he was even in that movie.
Yeah,
I remember the girl.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, maybe they're after him now, and it would be just like Barbarian again, except dragging to hell instead of getting.
Well,
I mean, like, he probably would have tried to go because he saw it. He saw her getting dragged to hell. Maybe he went crazy and he's like going after like the witch or something like that, and then he finds her, and now it's like a final battle, but he still ends up being dragged to hell. You know?
Nah, go full Hellraiser sequence. Just have it take place in hell.
Ooh, that'd be kind of cool.
Get that budget.
Ooh, that'd be kind of cool.
Be quite the budget there.
Yeah, but I don't want to see another Hellraiser, man.
You don't want to see another Hellraiser?
Fuck no, man. That one from Hulu sucked ass. Like, I was just like, Jesus Christ, what happened?
It was straight to DVD, basically. It was straight to streaming.
Yeah.
I'm glad I didn't bother. I thought about watching it, but I'm glad I didn't.
I mean, like, I get it. Like, it's another. I don't mean to be that guy, but it was just like I felt like it was another one of those like woke moments. So now it's like instead of like Pinhead as like a dude, it's like a chick, and I'm just like, okay, well, that's cool.
Wait, they didn't get
they
didn't get the old actor back?
No.
What the hell?
It was a like trans actor.
Whoa, what? With like the nostalgia hype train and such going on full blast everywhere, you would think that they would get that actor back unless he's dead or something, which hopefully not.
Well, it was a reboot, though. It was a complete reboot.
Yeah.
It wasn't a sequel.
Well, sorta, kinda.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was like a continuation, but it was just like some of the same characters were there, like from the old ones. Not like the actual actors, I don't think, but like
characters.
Like like there's like a female one, there's like the dog one, there's one with like his mouth opened up and all this stuff. It's creepy. Like I like the way that it looks, man. Like the whole thing was good. Like it was.
I heard the new one was based off the book a little bit differently than the original was. So maybe,
well,
I don't know. There was a book that at some point.
I mean, like either way that goes, though, like the effects were actually nice. Like everything was really cool looking, but it's just the storyline itself was just complete dog shit. I mean, yeah, like I don't know. Like I said, I just
it's the biggest piece of dog shit.
You said the key words, man. You said the key words.
Keywords.
Yeah, but honestly, like, I mean, it is one of those movies that you kind of just see, like, at a whim. Like, it's not something that you're like, yeah, let's go see it. No, it's just, if you do have the time, like, it takes some time. So you just, trying to kill some, go for it. Watch it.
Question: If this Drag Me to Hell sequel is it supposed to be theatrical or straight to stream?
Well, they're still working out the details and like story and such like that. So they didn't actually get into details like that.
They didn't say like, oh, Hulu is developing.
Oh no, they're saying that they're just trying to see if
God.
they're just trying to work on it, and then they're trying to see if
where it goes. Raimi directs it. I'll obviously check it out. If someone else directs their own like spin-off of it, and it's like a remake, but it's like a more hardcore R-rated one, and he's still like producing it, kind of like he is the new Evil Dead movie, I probably also would check it out. I mean, I didn't watch Drag Me to Hell until like years after it came out. Like I waited till I saw Evil Dead first, and while I didn't like Drag Me to Hell as much as Evil Dead, I still had a lot of fun with it. And yeah, I'd probably check out a new one. I can't say I'd be as excited for it though.
Yeah, that's the bad thing about sequels, man.
For the Hellboy movie.
Oh yeah, I agree there. I'd at least try to watch that. I do like a good Hellboy, like, but that's like the bad thing about
that's the problem.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see.
That's the thing with like, especially with sequels, man. Like, they're mostly just hard misses. Like, you can't really find good ones unless it's like a good storyline, like all the way through. Which, kind of like going to like like Lord of the Rings or something like that. Like, I mean, it's just one basic concept throughout the whole thing. It's a whole journey. So yeah, of course it's going to be good. Like, I mean, it's just like a lot of action. It's giant books.
It's supposed to have a sequel. It's not like developing a sequel years later because of many reasons.
Yeah, which I do hope that.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just saying.
Yeah, so
like,
I have seen.
Okay. Well, never mind.
Go JT. Go JT.
Okay.
Your moment to shine.
So I have seen Drag Me to Hell. I thought it was a funny concept, but it wasn't dark. But they do make a sequel, just like what Mr. Oyman said, make it darker, much more scarier, especially with the Evil Dead Rise, which, by the way, looks fantastic. I saw the trailer in theaters, and I'm like, I'm hyped for it, but at the same time, it looks scary.
From what I heard it's intense.
And intense, so I might see it in a dark theater with some friends, but I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But, I kind of enjoyed Drag Me to Hell. It was much more comedic and comedy, but again, like, I don't know how they will create a sequel to it because she actually got dragged, and I don't really know what the story
Spoiler
is.
alert, they drag her to hell.
I know, right? Oh my god! But
come on, Mr.
I have no idea. I have no idea. So.
All right.
Light. It's like a less R-rated version of it.
In other news as well, I forgot to put it on the bulletin board, but we do have a confirmation of it's pretty obvious of who was going to be doing Superman Legacy. So not only is James Gunn going to be writing it, he is also going to be the director about it. How do you guys feel? I know our friend Mr. Davel, he's on the fence about it. He's just kind of time will tell type of stance, but are you guys kind of glad that this is finally out and we know what to expect more or less from this new Superman, at least in tone and visuals?
I really don't know what to expect. That's the thing. Like Guardians and Suicide Squad, okay, I could see that, but Superman is like, he's the golden child. He does not seem like the type of character that Gunn would actually write and direct. Based
on how we've seen Gunn's, again, like the Guardians, the Suicide Squad, they do have slightly different tones. I mean, there is the underlying James Gunn-y feel to it, but they are very vibrant. They are very very character driven. So I mean,
they're not like Superman Returns or Man of Steel.
Yeah, like you're definitely not gonna get the color palette and the feel of a Man of Steel type of feel with James Gunn is what I'm saying. Like we kind of have a slight slight thing. Unless he throws a curveball, we kind of have a bit of an idea, not a whole idea, but a bit of an idea of how he would handle a Superman. I mean, I'm pretty sure we're gonna see red underwear on the outside.
We better. I need those red undies, yellow belt.
Yeah. But are you guys pretty happy about this news, more or less, or how do you guys feel about it?
Did they already talk about who's gonna play Superman?
No, he's still writing it. He says he doesn't. He doesn't do casting.
I mean, that's
till later.
That's a big factor, I think.
Yeah, that's like my big thing. Is it's like I wonder who the hell they're gonna put as Superman, because honestly, like who actually gave like it more stardom was what's his name? Superman, the current Superman, or whatever.
Henry Cavill.
Yeah,
Henry Cavill. Yeah.
Thank you, all three of you. I'm not good with names, you know that. But as far as it goes, like, I mean, he was kind of like the Iron Man of like the DC, because once he actually showed his face, like everybody really enjoyed his acting and everything was good. Like now, actually trying to fill those shoes in, like whoever's gonna do that, like I mean, shit, better have a fucking strong ass chin as he does, man. Because honestly, like if it's like trying to put Tobey Maguire. Yeah, trying to put Tobey Maguire in like fucking a Superman suit, you're gonna sit there like, what the fuck, dude? You know what I'm saying?
So
like, it ain't gonna work.
So you're saying, Mr. Joestar, you're saying that if he can't play a live action Crimson Chin, don't even bother?
Yeah, don't even bother, dude. Like,
so Ben Affleck,
it's not even worth it.
Right?
Oh my
man.
fucking god, no!
Cat's out of the bag. We all had we all knew that we all were wondering who was gonna direct Superman Legacy, but we know who it wasn't, because Ben Affleck got asked and he said no. He's straight up said that. Actually, I got the article pulled up right here. He did it in more or less as when talking about his new company and such like that, and his previous projects, and leading up into the new movie Air that he's going to be releasing soon. He did have a segment to where he did talk about like the ups and downs of the industry and like what they're going up against in the modern time, and he does talk about, as he claims, the Justice League experience. And I quote him, "The fact that those stories became somewhat repetitive to me and less interesting. Yeah, I did finally figure out how to play Batman, and I nailed it in The Flash. And here's the kicker. For the 5 minutes that I am in there."
Oh, shit! Really?
Wow.
I hope I hope he's exaggerating, because he's on the marketing pretty strong. Like, people are banking off of Keaton and this and him to kind of push this movie forward. Obviously, the Flashpoint paradox, but the key part of the marketing is the Batman. So I was literally had that audio file basically playing in the back of my head when I was reading this article, because I'm like, oh yeah, he finally figured it out. And then he mentions 5 minutes. So if it truly is for 5 minutes, how bummed will you be about that, Mr. Oyman?
I mean, not too bummed. I know Keaton's got a pretty substantial role in it, and that's who I'm more excited to see, to be honest. So, but hey, it's just weird because we've seen him in different action sequences in the trailer wearing different Batman suits. So I expected him to have like a little bit, like maybe at least 15 minutes in the movie. But if he's only in there for 5, I mean, well, I guess we'll have to see.
Well, Keaton's Batman has a 200% increase on screen time as him, so he gets 15 minutes. But
I would. I honestly, I'm just like as excited as I am for that movie. I'm not terribly looking forward to seeing multiple Ezra Millers. I'm just kind of like.
Yeah. But who knows what happens, though? I mean, like, this is going to be like ground zero.
Tom Cruise loves it. Tom Cruise said true. This is the movie we need now. Not fucking
but
Top Gun Maverick. He says The Flash.
I don't know, man.
He doesn't even make movies for Warner Brothers.
Yeah, but Tom Cruise, I like the dude, but I don't know his taste in movies. I don't know how much coke he did before.
No, dude. He likes it because there's a lot of running.
He's running.
Oh God.
He's like, I wish I could run that fast.
Like, yeah, very great movie.
They should have gotten me.
10 out of 10. Yeah.
Oh,
I
man.
remember those days.
Yeah, but back to the interview, he also did say that he tried to fit himself into the Batman, that he did like a lot of the stuff they did in the first one, which he's referring to Batman versus Superman. But then it gets to the second part of this interview that says, but not Justice League. He said, Justice League, you could teach a seminar on all the reasons why this is how not to do it. And then he mentions that ending or that whole experience left a monstrous bad taste in his mouth, and Zack Snyder then came to him and told him like, hey, you want to do this and that, and then he said we did it obviously with Zack Snyder's Justice League, and he brags about it being his highest rated movie on IMDb, and then
Wait, really?
yeah, well, and then
on IMDb, okay. No,
and then the interviewer actually says basically about the Zack Snyder cult, and they're like, well, isn't it because Zack Snyder fans are so intense online? And he's like, well, say what you want, but I mean, we took, I mean, it went from a flop to being my highest rated movie on IMDb. But he said, he said that he was going to direct the Batman movie, which we all knew he was, but that whole experience made him say, and I quote him again, I'm out. I never want to do any of this again. I'm not suited. That's the worst experience I've ever had in the business, which is full of some shitty experiences. It broke my heart. That basically then he starts talking about how Joss Whedon came in and basically backhanded the whole shit. And so it definitely led up to him not wanting to do comic book movies anymore, and they asked him, so if DC came to you and said, do you want to direct? He said, I would not want to direct anything for James Gunn. Absolutely not. I have nothing against him. I'm pretty sure you're a nice guy, but you and I we're done professionally, basically, is what he said. But would you guys have wanted him? Because I know that when James Gunn took over, he did say, oh, no, all these legacy actors like Gal Gadot and Momoa and Cavill and Ben Affleck have an open door here. They might not just be who they were before, but they could direct something. They could be another character. Does it guys kind of bum you out that you know that Ben Affleck is kind of out of the question? Because in my opinion, the movies he has directed, he has done a pretty good job, and he could have brought a decently interesting take onto the scene of the DC universe. Do you guys feel like that is untapped potential right there, or what's y'all's opinion on this situation?
I think for me it is untapped potential because I hate to see this. I think Ben Affleck did a great job in BVS and also in Zack Snyder's Justice League, and he's also a great director. Air, which comes out in April, seems with his pal Matt Damon, seems like a great quality character development movie about how Michael Jordan became the face of Nike. But I get it. I get where he's coming from. Again, those bad relationships can have a tainted experience, and I feel like James Gunn, he is a great guy. Don't get me wrong, but I think that with the whole BS of what happened at Warner Brothers, the whole Zack Snyder situation, and how that kind of unfolded, Ben Affleck was like, you guys have your own crap to do. I have a life after this, so you guys can just try to figure all this out. And, I need to have like some greener pastures on the other side sort of thing. But I would love to see him at least direct. But, I mean, it'd be kind of cool him to direct, the Batman, the Brave and the Bold movie, but that won't happen because I know that he kind of invested himself to the Batman while he was filming VBS and also in Justice League. But it is what it is. There's nothing changed it. But I would love to see him direct at least one DC movie. But I totally get it. Bygones be bygones. But, hopefully there will become a time after years has passed and Ben Affleck will kind of transition back to DC and maybe direct a film. But as of right now, it's kind of fresh. So he's just out of it right now. So I understand completely.
Like, here's the thing. Like, I was just thinking, talking about like 4 hours for the Zack Snyder one, but like, no shit, like it's 4 hours, but everything is gonna be 4 hours when you like have one scene last about 5 fucking minutes because it's so fucking slow and you have just music in the background. Like, I saw that cut and like, don't get me wrong, it was cool seeing the little extra shit. But Jesus Christ, like, what the hell was that? Like, with the whole, like, slowing down, like, going super slow-mo.
Wait.
That's
Yeah, dude,
Zack
like,
Snyder's thing, though.
So you're saying
that's a
that?
Snyder thing, man.
So you're saying we didn't
That's what was
need
missing from his first.
we
two
didn't
movies.
need a 3-minute scene of Lois Lane slow mo walking out of a coffee shop with a guy mopping the floor looking at her.
It was so important to the story.
Mr. Joe Saw.
This guy stinks!
Because he pulls open the drawer very slowly, and there's a pregnancy test that implies that she has Superman's kid.
oh my god.
Wait, what the hell was she
no,
using the pregnancy stick to stir her coffee, or what? Are we talking about two different scenes?
No, in that scene, she goes in her room, and then she opens up the drawer, and there you see a pregnancy test, and then it goes into her getting the coffee after that.
Yeah, because it was
3-minute
Batman's
long
kid.
song.
It was Batman's kid, wasn't it, in the original script?
Batman's kid before he died.
Oh, I don't know.
Batman's kid?
Well, the original.
That's right.
Yeah,
the script, he had something. It was going to be a twist where it was actually Batman's kid or something stupid. I don't know. I'm kind of glad we didn't. The biggest issue with that movie is the last 40 minutes is just setting up shit that's never going to happen.
Yeah, because if Lois Lane,
everything
got
up to
pregnant,
that
she would have been dead.
Yeah.
She would have been dead.
Hold on. I did want to say about the Ben Affleck, because we were talking about the Ben Affleck stuff. I wanted to say that
Yes.
I think it's weird how he, had a bad experience working with Justice League and having Joss Whedon come in, and everyone hated him for whatever reasons. And then he's like, "Okay, I'm done being Batman. Oh wait, I'll come back for Zack and finish his Snyder cut. Okay, then I'm done. Oh wait, I don't know if it's in his contract or not, but he does the Flash. He's done Batman 2 times now since he supposedly had a bad experience with it. So I'm not entirely sure why he's like, for sure shutting the door down, because unless he had an awful experience working on Flash, I don't know. Maybe he just doesn't like Ezra Miller and he doesn't want to have to work with him. Maybe they have a fantastic relationship. I have no idea. But it is kind of sad or untapped potential to just leave him or have him at least never direct anything. However, I can see Ben Affleck maybe just not wanting to direct big studios comic book stuff. Like maybe he just wants, like you said, he wants to move on to another part of his life, direct other things that aren't comic book related. He doesn't want to be tied down so close to the whole like Batman, Marvel, DC world. And so he's like, you know what, I'm just going to do my own movies, star in my own stuff, direct my own shit. Maybe try to actually get a directing Oscar since he got snubbed for Argo. I mean, like, he didn't even nominate him, even though his movie won Best Picture. And he won the Directors Guild Award and then didn't even get nominated for an Oscar. It was weird. But it is because he is mostly known as an actor, and he's been acting much longer than he's been directing. But he has proven himself to be a great director. So I'd love to see him come and do something, even if it's not for DC, just whatever he does next. But it is kind of sad that after The Flash, we'll probably never see him as Batman again. But I think it should be a good send-off for his version of Bruce.
But also another thing involving, James Gunn and the Superman Legacy. I am looking forward to it. James Gunn, again, he's known for Guardians franchise and the Suicide Squad, and he has a keen eye on character development and also a good villain. I feel like all his movies that I've seen have great villains in it, and so I think that hopefully the villain of Superman Legacy is Brainiac. I don't want to see another Lex Luthor at all, but I kind of feel like James Gunn knows what he's doing with the Superman character because he's a nerd like all of us, and he understands that DC is make it or break it time, and so he's trying his best to put his face out there and say, hey, if Superman Legacy fails, I am the cause, okay? I am the cause of why this movie did not make a whole lot of money at the box office. I am the cause that I picked this random dude off the street to play Superman. I am the cause that we have another Lex Luthor villain. I am the cause. I am the cause. So he's saying, hey, listen, guys, I'm the head of DC. is on my shoulders now. I am responsible for all the things that's going to be up in theaters between 3 to 5 years from now. I would direct the movie. If this movie succeeds, I will prove you guys wrong that, hey, you guys can trust me. If it doesn't succeed, you guys can trust me for a little bit, but we'll get better. So, again, this is all about trust. This is all about trust with the DC fans. I'm so glad that he's taking initiative in directing a movie that he's passionate about and he's looking forward to. We all fans just need to trust him. That's all we have to do.
That's right.
It doesn't really matter because there's new DC.
DC fans, you
Trust
guys need
him,
to
please,
show up.
trust him.
You need to show up for it this time.
Show up and show out.
Because if you don't show up,
I do trust James Gunn doing a Superman movie, but I think it's going to be very weird. I could see it just, I don't know, like his sense of humor. I don't really tie that with Superman necessarily, but I'm sure he'll find a way to make it work. It has to be successful. If this movie does worse than Man of Steel did, we're never seeing Superman for like a long ass time. Like they're not going to try redoing it again for a long ass time, which is weird because it's fucking Superman.
Well, I just hope
why is it that hard to get him right?
I hope they just basically at that point fake it till you make it. Like pretend that it was successful and just keep going. I mean, we've seen the more recent DC stuff was from a failed universe, but it did get pretty good steam when it came to like people who saw it. They said, okay, we could have a foundation to go on from here, but unfortunately people didn't show up. The ones that did show up were like, wow, this is not bad. They improved, but that's all I have to say to DC fans.
They didn't show up to Black Adam. They haven't shown up to Shazam. They'll probably show up for Flash, but I don't think they'll even show up to Aquaman the same way they did before. So it's good we're getting a fresh new start with this Superman movie. It has to be successful, though, and it will be James Gunn being like, I think he's going to basically be flexing. He knows that he's going to make a great Superman movie, so he's going to make it, have full creative control, and then be like, okay, now you guys can trust me with this, right? Yes, hopefully everyone will be like, okay, yes, let's go with this. We like this.
All right, so moving on from there, we also do have, I got this article from the Hollywood Reporter from, again, a couple weeks ago, that got my head scratching because other stuff started coming out here and there, but it started making me question streaming. We're like, we write all along and thinking not everything needs to have its thing. So it's Bob Iger. He goes on to investors and tells them that it comes to as the quotes here, it comes in form of reducing the expense per content, whether it's a TV show or film. We just have the costs have skyrocketed. So kind of similar to what he said a few weeks ago in one of the episodes that we talked about earlier in the year. But the thing that really got me is, where is it? Damn it, I should have highlighted it beforehand. Here you go. So I say, like, was streaming wrong? Because earlier in, like, let's go back in time a little. We had Netflix, and they had third-party movies. They had their own, they started doing their own originals, and it started, like, going up, like, skyrocketing up. They were still in debt, and they actually didn't break even till recently. So they had a successful model in the same sense that viewership started going up when they started mixing in third-party and their own content. But then other companies were like, hey, that pie over there looks hella good. Let me get a piece of that pie. So they started piecemealing. You had stuff like HBO taking their stuff out, Paramount, Disney, all them. They started getting all their IP and putting it under one banner and forcing Netflix to double down on even more content and, in my opinion, doing quantity over quality. But you knew they were onto something kind of when Disney, with the most IP and such, pull their stuff out. But now we're in a weird place that, like it says right here, as they look, Iger said, as we look to reduce content that we're creating for our own platforms, there are probably opportunities to license to third parties. That's where it got strange. Because I'm like, okay, when the big dog like Disney's saying, this shit ain't working for us, like we're spending way more money than we should, trying to keep up with having original content, whether it be like Mandalorian or God forbid, She-Hulk or stuff like that, you kind of start seeing a trend. And then that same day, we also see that Batman Cape Crusader that was supposed to be on HBO Max is
on
now
Amazon
got a
Prime.
2-season order over at Amazon Prime, and then it kept me thinking. I would, before I canceled Netflix and such like that, I booted it up. I had gotten Paramount Plus because I love my older cartoons and such like that, so I still occasionally will watch SpongeBob, Fairly Odd Parents, or other stuff like on MTV like Ridiculousness, and maybe some Paramount based movies. And before I canceled like the Netflix and such, I started realizing that even Paramount Plus started putting SpongeBob, fucking iCarly, and Fairly Odd Parents back onto Netflix. And you see all these companies that originally took everything out, they're now either licensing something new over to a different streaming platform. Harry Potter left damn Warner Brothers HBO Max and went somewhere else for a time, and it's just, do you guys prefer this method that things are kind of going back to status quo, or do you guys think that now that the floodgates have opened, now it's getting worse because now we have more streaming services and now everything's going everywhere again instead of being at certain locations? How do you guys feel about the current state of streaming? Like, do you prefer a free-for-all that everybody holds on to their licenses so you know, hey, Batman Cape Crusader is going to be on HBO because it's Warner Brothers? Or do you guys like the idea of this starting to just be a freaking Wild West where you don't know what's going to go what until it launches?
Well, it should, because that's what makes their streaming services more valuable. I mean, that's why I still have my Hulu and I have my freaking Disney Plus and HBO, is because those are the only three that I can get certain things from. HBO, I get Warner Brothers, anything from Cartoon Network to like Adult Swim to basically like any kind of like old school like what's it called? Just Warner Brothers stuff. So it'd be like, Mortal Kombat movies, DC stuff, all that jazz. Going back to Hulu, you get certain things from Warner Brothers, which I was just kind of like weirded out because
like Animaniacs, that was on Hulu.
Yes, correct. I was
That's
just
literally
about
the Warner Brothers.
Yeah, it sure is. And like I was just kind of like weirded out because I was like, I do love that cartoon back in the day. Like it was one of my biggest things, but why the fuck is it on Hulu if like I should be watching that
service?
Yeah, which I should be watching it on HBO Max. And then now Disney's starting to get some more movies in where I'm just kind of like sitting here like, well, I thought this was supposed to be just Disney based, but whatever works, with you, especially now that they have like The Simpsons and stuff like that. I'm like, okay, well, that's cool too. But I could have gotten The Simpsons like in Hulu. So I'm just like getting really confused on where I need to start watching my stuff. But it sucks that, okay, so you grab one thing from here, and then you put it on this one. But then, like, the main big ones aren't going to be like that. It's going to be on a separate streaming service. So it's going to be like what? Like, Invincible? Like, I mean, that's going to be only on freaking Amazon, which, like, yeah, like, I'm just totally fucked because I really wanted to see the rest of that. But at the same time, now Paramount Plus, like, okay, so now they have Nickelodeon in there. Okay, cool. Nickelodeon. Yeah. And like, that's another thing though, too. It made me so mad because I had HBO and I was so happy that they added Comedy Central in it. But then guess what? A lot of the Comedy Central stuff is mostly on Paramount Plus. And like, I was just kind of like, okay, like, what the hell's the deal with that? Because I wanted to see like Beavis and Butthead, which I did see. And like I said, like, I mean, I wasn't as impressed as I.
Oh, new season on 420. New season on 420.
Oh, what? There is?
Yeah. It's gonna come out April 20th.
Oh man,
I'm excited. Okay.
But
well, for me, that's been awesome. But I can see, not everyone did love the Beavis and Butthead.
Well, but yeah, that's like, what I'm saying,
cool.
Mr. Joe Star. It's obvious that again, the big fish, like Iger is saying, that this is obviously not as viable as they thought they would make it. So the smaller, even smaller ones like Paramount Plus, do you think that it would be best for them to just hightail it out of the streaming like war platform thing and just
Yes.
maybe get more money by just selling some of that to HBO,
Yep.
Yes.
or
Yep.
not selling it, but
Hell
licensing
yeah.
it to somewhere else. That way, we do have only like the big three. Like Hulu gets, since it's majority absorbed by Disney, like basically absorb that into Disney Plus, or Paramount Plus starts giving their stuff to either Netflix or HBO. Do you think there should be just like three big players, or do you think that they should like kind of stick to their guns and keep their own content?
Hell no. Like, I mean, at this point, like, if you're giving like certain things to HBO, like, I mean, South Park, like, that was like a really big thing too, because like, I mean, HBO has
Still
literally
on
every single
HBO though.
yeah,
Like they're releasing new ones on HBO, but then the specials and movies are only Paramount. Like it's so weird.
yeah, like what the hell? Like what is that about? Like honestly, I think the best thing for Paramount Plus is just to give it to like HBO. Just give it all. Because then guess what? You would have Cartoon Network and Adult Swim and Nickelodeon in one section. And that would be big. That would actually help both of them out. And that, yeah. I mean, it's all money. It's all money based. I mean, if you pay me more, I'll give it to you. If you don't, then you snooze, you lose.
They'll get more money from having Netflix put one of their shows out because Netflix makes more money.
That's where actually Sony was right into not launching their own platform. I thought they should have, honestly, because they do have the IP, they do have all this. But nowadays, I mean, JT, it sucks for us because now we have to have all of these. Like for us PlayStation fans, they're not making their own platform to kind of gatekeep their own IPs. They're actually just spreading it wherever they feel like it. Like Gran Turismo, Ghost of Tsushima, it's in the movie theaters. God of War is going to be on Amazon Prime. The Horizon Zero Dawn prequel show or whatever is going to be on Netflix. Obviously, we had Last of Us on HBO, so us like PlayStation fans, we're screwed. There's no, there's no way we're able to choose only one platform to hone into. But I feel like Sony played that one smart and didn't just jump in like these other sharks did and to try to make their own platform. What were you gonna say, JT?
I mean, I kind of agree with Johnny Joestar here. Is that I think Paramount again, like there's only big three. I think big four, in my opinion, of like streaming services is Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus,
HBO Max,
and HBO Max. And I kind of feel like Apple TV is its own special category because, again, Apple is special. But I think that all the other remaining streaming services should be licensing basically all their content to those big four, because if they do that, I think that it'd be better for all of us because like cable right now is somewhat cheaper than all these streaming services combined once you think about it. And because like back in the day, cable was expensive, and that's why I think that's why a lot of streaming services were created so people can pay $100 less a month in order to get all these streaming services and whatnot. But now it seems like streaming services now equals a cable subscription.
And not only that, but they started adding ads in most of these fucking shits too. So we went full circle.
Hey, double just to get no ads, which I did end up doing with Paramount Plus. But
they're holding us hostage
enough, so I should go.
Yeah, and so like I think that with the streaming wars, I personally have Netflix, Hulu with live TV, with HBO Max, and also with Disney Plus. Those are my core streaming services. And I mean, I'm doing great. I'm not planning on getting Paramount Plus, and plus my sister got Amazon Prime, but we don't really watch a lot of shows on there just for like the
Amazon
and everything.
Amazon has a leg up that they don't have to just be a streaming service because they have so much money. They're much bigger than that. Apple
I think that for me is I'm not planning on getting Paramount Plus. I'm not planning on getting Apple TV because like I already have enough streaming services to make me more entertained. Like with Crunchyroll's anime, so I can watch a lot of shows on there. Netflix has some good original stuff, which I'm looking forward to. Hulu with their original content and TV shows on like local cable channels. That's kind of cool. Disney Plus have like Disney Plus and Star Wars and whatnot, and HBO Max have Warner Brothers and all these other shows and movies. So I am content. I feel like a lot of people are kind of blown out of their mind because they want every little thing. All you have to do is just pick and choose which content that you want to do. I kind of feel like with these streaming wars, DVD sales are going to go up. Like if these companies want to make a lot of money, they kind of put your seasons on DVD, on Blu-ray. We will buy physical copies to watch your shows.
That is
true. We don't have to go to streaming services to watch the shows. I feel like that would be a good time for like Paramount Plus to do all 26 episodes of South Park on DVD in the big collector's box, like $200-$300. People will buy that, or like all of Simpsons and whatever, because like we want our shows.
I will say, because even when they start like losing the rights and such, or licenses to some of these, it does get a little bit scary. I know there was a little bit of I collected the first 2 seasons of Daredevil, but Punisher seasons 1 and 2, Daredevil seasons 3, and any of the other shows that were Marvel on Netflix, they only sold them in the UK, or I think in some other countries, but not in the US. So I never got to complete that thing, and people were like, why are you collecting them? They're going to be on Netflix forever, this and that. Then they took them out, and I know Mr. Oyman and Davell, I sent them out a text that I was like, wait, what's going on? They're only going to be there till March. And thankfully, they went on to Disney Plus, and Disney kind of backtracked on their whole, we're not going to have rated R TVMA content on our platform. But if not, you're right. Some of these do need to go onto 4K Blu-rays or even DVDs, because once those licenses go up, it's up in the air. It's up to the original creator or that the rights belong to make a DVD version or put it on their platform, or else it's just lost in the air. You just lose that content and that thing that you like for forever. Yeah, but let's go ahead and
Infinity Train anywhere. They took it off.
Yeah. The HBO did a bunch of taking off stuff too when they started gutting it when Discovery took
I think you can
them.
probably buy them on like Google Play or something, but I don't even know if that means you can own them or not. Like, it's hard to, with everything being streaming, you don't ever know whether you have, like, you can't own anything. You have to just rely on where the companies are at a certain point if you want to watch something specifically, and hope that they're not, getting along well with the other streaming services, and you don't have to pay extra for another one just to watch something on one that you already have been paying for.
Yeah, for real.
But let's go ahead and move on to the final topic of the evening. So, not last week, this weekend that just passed, but the week before, we got our finale to The Last of Us, and now we have the complete season 1. Now that it's over, I want to pick y'all's brains on it. How did y'all feel about it? Did you finish it, Mr. Oyman, or are you still stuck trying to play using control drift?
Nope. So last Monday, I finished the game. After years of playing it, I finally finished the game.
Wow.
Man, I got you.
I immediately followed it up with episode 6, episode 7, episode 8, and episode 9 of The Last of Us.
There you go. It only took you 9 years. But, what was your thought, Mr. Oyman?
Well, initial thoughts. Playing the last, chunk of the game while also watching the TV episodes that immediately preceded it. It was very surreal, probably because I just spent hours doing it. I will say the last 4 episodes of the TV show flew by. It did not feel like I watched 4 episodes of TV. It felt like it was just like playing the game again, only since it just hit the main story points, it was very exhilarating. And in some ways, I think I like the show better than the game, but the game is also like kind of perfect in every way. Like, there's not really any notes I have on the game. I just suck at gaming, but that's a me thing. The game itself is amazing. I will say, freaking JT threw me off, and I was expecting Joel to die at the end, and then it ends with him very much still alive. So that was very unexpected. I thought the whole story, the way the story ends, is very like great character morality tale, kind of big like character dilemma thing that I wasn't quite expecting, but really appreciated. And I think Pedro and Bella Ramsey really sold the absolute shit out of that ending. They did a great job. But dude, I mean, oh man, I could go on and on. My favorite episode is actually the one with Riley and
the
Bella
Left
Ramsey,
Behind.
Ellie.
Yeah,
with the two of them in the mall, because like I think she tells the story in the game about how her friend was at a mall with her and then they both got bit. But like seeing it actually play out, or because that was something they had kind of like they did with episode 3 of the show.
Yeah.
Well,
no.
Game,
that was straight out of the game, like almost shot for shot. It's just it wasn't in the main game. That was actually DLC that came a few months after the
thing, it's the Left Behind thing. I just haven't gotten to that yet, so I'm very excited to play that now. Just because of how, that was one of my favorite episodes from the game. But the whole thing, the whole ending, they hit all the story points. They didn't waste any time with it. I was kind of surprised there wasn't a whole lot of like killing clickers at the end like I expected, but that was actually kind of not refreshing for me, because I think the way they went about it, like even though it was very quick, like it kind of almost rushed through the game, but it still felt appropriate for a show. Like if I hadn't just played the game and only watched the show, I'd be like, oh shit, this is like really intense. This is really knocking it out and just like going from one thing to the next. But when you just play the game right before seeing the TV show, it does feel like it's a lot quicker. It moves along a lot faster. But I did love how like shot the ending was to the game.
Would you agree, Mr. Joestar? I'll let you go first because I have a feeling JT's just gonna go nuclear once we let him loose. So
God.
What's your thoughts, Mr. Joestar?
Well, as far as it goes, like they actually did a great job. I mean, everything was phenomenal. Definitely gotta play the second one in order for me to catch up on what the hell is going on, because I mean it was already spoiled to me a long time ago, but definitely need to get on that because I only played the first one and I just loved it, and the way that I remember it from then and actually seeing it now was freaking amazing. And since like my girlfriend has never actually played the game and was going basically off the stories, like I mean she was pretty much stunned, which I already knew what the hell was going to happen, but she was like, what the fuck? So I'm the one that's like, yeah, I already knew what was going to happen. So yeah, definitely it was still the same feeling towards it. Like everything was just so crisp and it was just so well done. And I totally agree like about the whole thing, because I know that not this last episode but the one before, it was a bit long with her own adventure trying to like kill like that one dude, that priest psycho. And like it took me a minute because you have to like sit there and
sneak
hide
around.
Yeah, you have
waiting
to.
for him to have his back turned to you. It was such a
Yeah, dude. Yeah, and then like while at the same time everything is catching fire, so you have to watch out where you go and stuff. So yeah, I do like how just it would just kept on going with throughout the whole storyline. It was very fluent, and
well.
yeah, they did well. Like I mean, I just wish more video game adaptations were to be like this. I mean, it's what the budget wasn't like super crazy, but they still did so well. Like, see what I'm saying? Like, I mean, why can't other people just?
I think it was still within the 100 million range. I believe it was
for the whole thing, though.
But
yeah,
for the whole thing, yeah.
It was basically like the budget of a Game of Thrones season, like one of the earlier ones.
Yeah, but I mean, even then, though, like,
you could see where though, because they spent money, especially on the makeup and sets. Like it all looked great.
Yeah, and I mean, but that's what I'm saying is just like, why can't other companies actually learn how to actually do it like this? Because this is what makes, people want to see more of HBO because they're going to want to stay in that streaming service. Like,
Mhm.
if there's shows like this, of course, I just want to see it like right there and that's it. Which, HBO has always been good about making stuff into movies, from what you guys were talking about earlier, is just the fact that like if they do come up with like like copies, like usually HBO was the first one, especially with like Game of Thrones and stuff like that,
Mhm.
to actually
Yeah.
come out. So I mean, here's to hopefully seeing and owning, The Last of Us Part 1 and 2 in the future on hard copies, because I would definitely buy that.
Well, I know this season's gonna be, I think, in June. I believe it's gonna be summertime for the 4K Blu-ray, which means it's gonna be like
That one
the
will be on Blu-ray then.
yeah, which means it's gonna be like the fifth time I've bought this damn story. But I mean, I ain't complaining. But
Yeah.
Mike's all yours. But I'm no going into season 2 or anything like that,
Yeah,
JT.
nothing about season 2, JT.
Just what we have. Like, pretend that the game part 2 or season 2 does not exist. Although there is some tidbits I do want to point out later that was in an interview that Craig Mazin and Neil Druckmann talked about a little. They didn't talk about like plots of season 2. They just kind of gave you an idea of what they're gonna focus on, where their budget's gonna go here and there and that. But what we have in front of us was season 1's. What were your final thoughts for the season as a whole, JT?
So as a season of the whole, it was perfect.
I gotta
Playing the
tell you,
game.
it was perfect.
Yes, it was perfect. Playing the Last of Us game, I think twice, and seeing it on the big screen was surreal. The one thing I appreciate the TV show that the game is that, again, I know the TV show had less clickers, but I kind of like the whole character development between Pedro Pascal's Joel and Bella Ramsey Ellie. I think they did a fantastic job as a whole. This type of family dynamic of, hey, Joe lost his daughter in the beginning of the season, and now at the end, Joe realized that, hey, Ellie is my new daughter. I need to protect her at any cost, which involves killing a whole bunch of people and lying to her about it. But overall, season one, like, is perfect. I mean, I have nothing else to add. They did the game justice, and I kind of liked how they did involve a lot of the infected in season one, just because in the game is all about combat and strategy, but in the series is more about the relationship, the human element that the game did not kind of do well in the first one. But I
I
kind
highly
of I kind of
disagree.
appreciate the human element of the series, and and the relationship that entails. I mean, that's all I can say. I mean, the sets were beautiful, and the infected looked cool. The action sequences were great. Kind of like the drama element as well, and the whole of just is it right, is it wrong in this whole world of infected and humans, and I mean, I think it props. I can't wait for season two. But in terms of season one, a 5 out of 5, 10 out of 10. I will watch it again, just because I love the story. I think the Last of Us story is the most intricate video game story I've ever played. As Texas and Morty will know, we both love the game. We both love.
It's a great game.
At least I enjoyed the
Yeah.
second one, but I know that he has some disagreements on the second one. But that's neither here nor there. But the story itself is really good, and I can't wait for season two. But as a season one, for those who have not seen Last of Us season
Why are
one,
you
please
here?
do it.
Yeah, why are you
Yes,
here?
and if you have not played the game, please do so. The game is so much fun. You get to battle clickers, battle infected. You have to see all these other characters interact with you as you're going through this journey of
I'm glad I
getting
played
to
the
where you
game
need to
though.
go. The game is alive. The TV show is alive as well. The setting is beautiful. Both they did a great job. That's all I can say. So it was perfect. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I will have to agree
I gotta agree.
that they especially with what Mr. Joestar said earlier, what Johnny Joestar said, that this basically sets the bar for how video game adaptation should be. It's respectful. It changes parts where it kind of needs to, but overall, it has the same, like, it's there in its own take. It's not shot for shot in most, or in some cases, but it is when it needs to be. I personally, I would say I would give it like a 8 out of 10. I do think it was superb. They got the sets down, they got the looks down. Hell, even the characters, for the most part, they got their feel of the video game counterparts down, but added their own twist to it. Like they Pedro Pascal, you could see it's Joel, but it's Pedro Pascal's Joel. Same with Bella Ramsey. It's Ellie, but it's her version of Ellie. And the only things I would have to say for me that were a little bit like that bring
brought
that
it down to an 8.
Yeah, that brought it down to the 8 is more or less kind of the pacing in certain areas. It had a really strong first half, and you got this episodes like the Bill episode and all that, where it's like you spend an hour and a half on that story, but then you get to the second half of the show, and like you said, Mr. Oyman, it just goes. There's like they don't take a moment to, in some cases, like the last 2 episodes were only like 40 minutes long, 45 if you include like credits or whatever, but they were really short. And then you had in the beginning some really long ones that probably didn't need to be long. Like if you took some of that runtime or the budget for that episode and placed it in the second half of the show, I feel like the pacing would have been a little bit better. It felt like it was going through the motions of the game, and it had to be like they had, we have the budget for 9 episodes. We got to get from this halfway point to this point at the end, hell or high water. And some of those more human elements that you guys were talking about, I felt had a little bit more breathing room, a little bit more heart to them in the game than in the show. But that's not to say that the show didn't capture what it could with the runtime and obviously budget constraints that it could have. Same with the Infected. I know that for sure was a budget constraint. That's why you only saw them in the first half of the show, and then they just kind of, other than exposition here and there, you kind of forgot the Infected even really existed. You might get one,
They don't really focus,
maybe 2. Mm-hmm. And and in the game, it was never about the Infected to begin with, really. You do see them throughout the game a little bit more than in the show, obviously. But the main part of the show was seeing how messed up, how bad these people around them were, like the hunters, the David's camp, and all that. Like you got to see the nasty parts of humanity, and same with the Fireflies in the show. Since they didn't have the time to drag into it in the game, if you go around and walk around the levels, you do find some recordings that say we've tried something like what they were going to try on Ellie before, and they've tried it on like 10, 12 kids, and they had no luck. All of those kids died, and they were no closer to finding a cure as they were before. And you miss that aspect in the show. So even though you get a similar feel with was Joel right or not, in the game you get a little bit more of like, well, we've seen him go through like Pittsburgh, all across America, and see the worst humanity could throw at you, and then you have this option of, you could potentially save the world, but if you if you listen to those recordings that weren't in the show, you feel Joel is a little bit more justified, because you're like, well, why should I give up my world for this world that is terrible? And there's not even a 90% chance that this is a 50-50. I might lose her for no reason. and is Earth really worth it? So I feel like they still got that aspect a little bit in the show, but it just, since it didn't have the breathing room it needed to, they could have axed Bill's episode. They could have axed the Hunters episode, because we had those Hunters, that lady that I don't even remember what her name is. We had a whole
Hunter.
Yeah, in the city where the bad guys took over, with Henry and Sam.
Yeah, with Melanie Linsky.
Yeah,
that was weird how they were. I felt like they were setting that up for it to be it, and then she like dies in the very next.
Well,
episode.
that's what I'm saying. Like really they set up a whole episode to her basically, or at least half an episode to her, and it led nowhere. So that half an hour or part of that hour and a half from Bill's episode could have been used in the second half of the show. But again, those are all just. It might sound like I'm ranting about it, but it's actually minor nitpicks. Like, they're just stuff that I feel like they could have taken and improved on. But what they gave to us was fucking one hell of a show. Like they
also.
Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I kind of agree with all your points. I feel like, again, like as we talked about during the podcast, of how like because you kind of thought that they might rushed it. I feel like they did, because of of the budget was kind of like the big old first half, but I feel like they did a pretty good job in the time, because of, again, this is all about expanding the lore of the game, and I feel like, I mean, this is all about exposure of the video game, in my opinion. And I feel like a lot of the people who's going to see the show are going to go buy the game and play it for themselves and kind of learn more about the world of The Last of Us. And as you go through the levels, go look in the recordings and have debates among friends like, hey, do you think Joe was right, or do you think Joe was wrong? And that sort of thing. I kind of feel like this was kind of a launching point for the game, as like the game sales have been booming because of this show.
So you actually brought up a point I want to do before we move on to the last little snippet of details that I've gotten through reading interviews and such like that of what to expect going forward. But let's indoctrinate Mr. Oyman into the conversation we video game Last of Us fans have been having for the past like decade at this point. And it comes up almost like once a year, like clockwork around the summer. But was Joel right? I'll let you guys each kind of give your own opinion. You don't have to get like too into detail, but what do you think what Joel did was justified, or do you guys think that he was a total dickbag and he should not have done what he should have done, or what he did? I'll let you go first, Mr. Wyman, since you're in the hot seat for being newly indoctrinated into this discussion.
Well, first off, I want to say that I want to say that the show, I'm glad I waited to watch the last couple episodes, because I do agree, if I had watched it week to week like y'all did, they probably would feel too short and not really fully satisfying, considering the first half had hour-long episodes. But this show is definitely designed to be watched one right after the other. Like, you binge it in a day. You take a day to watch the show because it's that good. But as for the whole, was Joel right and what he did, I mean, that whole ending just like caught me so off guard. Like, did not expect it to end there, and I thought it was a really interesting way to end a game, a story, a show, a movie, anything. Which is why I'm definitely looking to finding out more about the second one now. But as far as if Joel was right in what he did, I mean, you guys you did kind of cover it. There was really only a 50-50 shot that what she was being sacrificed for, against her knowledge, would even end up being worth it in the end. And then there's a 50% chance that she'd just be dying for nothing. But I also don't think Ellie herself was aware that the surgery would be lethal. So in that case, I do think he was totally justified in what he did. Even killing whatever, I forget her name now, but who was the lady?
Marlene
at the very end. Marlene. There you go. News of the Pen. That really sucked, but again, he had a point. He knew that she would keep coming after her, and and he really saw that he had a second chance at raising a daughter, and fathering a daughter, and after what he already went through in the game, I mean, at the beginning of with Sarah and everything, like I totally do not. Really, I don't blame him. I do think, however, him lying about it, that definitely stung a bit. And like I said, it was a really good kind of sense of morality. Like, what are your morals here? What kind of? I think in the game, it made it seem a little bit more like less forgiving in a way in the show than it was in the show, because he was like literally killing everyone left and right, and even the doctors who weren't doing anything to him, he still like shot them in the legs and stuff, which made sense. But like the show, they didn't really have him doing any of that. So
yeah, that's
I
the
think
thing.
he was justified.
That's the thing about while watching this,
depends
the show did make it
depending
feel a
what
little
version
bit
you're watching.
more brutal, that scene, because in the game I'm basically just like maniacally laughing while I have like a flamethrower out and
While
everything
killing
like that.
everyone.
And I'm like,
Flamethrower
take
and all
that, you piece of shit. And then when I'm watching it, it's like a replay of you watching it, and I was like, oh man, I did something terrible. So they did a good job in that. But what about you, Johnny Joestar? Is Joel justified?
I missed the part where he was running with Ellie in his arms, though. They had that. I love that bit in the game. They didn't have.
Oh yeah,
show.
yeah.
That's the only thing I would add.
Yeah, but that's the thing. In the show, they cut off the best part of that song, that ending of that song, that he's actually, when he's carrying Ellie in the game, that's the same song that he is playing while he's massacring all the fireflies in the place. But I do wish we would have gotten that scene too, because it's one of my favorite scenes. It's just the song in the game, him carrying her and being like, come on, baby girl, and stuff like that.
Is that the part where you got really emotional? Because you told me that the end of the game made you cry. I was curious what part you were talking about.
No, it didn't make me cry. The song and that part does make me get chill bumps and just get like
no. But
goosebumps.
I'm asking what part of the game, because remember you told me like a while ago that you got really choked up playing the rest of The Last of Us. I was wondering what part specifically. Was it the very end?
No, the end never really got me choked up. I know it was the beginning. Yeah. The beginning always fucking gets me every single time.
Yeah, same.
Fucking Henry and Sam
the beginning,
gets me.
I thought there was something that happened at the end. That you
no.
Like, oh, dude, just wait till you get to the end. You'll be crying. I was like, really? That might have been someone else, but I do think the ending is fantastic. But I never thought it was like super sad or crying, anything like that. Yeah.
It just gets... No, what I did say was that it gets more bleak towards the end. I did say it gets more like just a downer.
That's true.
Yeah, it just becomes more and more of a downer. All the like silly little parts, the farther you get into the game, the less of those there are, other than the beautiful giraffe scene. That part, I will say, that might have been it. That when I first played the game, I did get a little bit of a, not like super sad and crying, but I did get a little bit of a teary-eyed after seeing so much down stuff. Whenever I first played the game and had that giraffe scene come out, it just hit me in the feels a little. I will say, and they captured that moment perfectly in this season. But Mr. Joestar, justified or not justified?
Well, I mean, it's kind of like everything has already been kind of said. Like, I mean, it's definitely like your own kind of morality in the sense.
Well, yeah, but that's what I'm saying. For you, not what Mr. Oyman said, not what I said. You feel he's justified?
To save millions, like, yeah, like it's not justifiable, but. As far as like the connection of like father and daughter come, like, are you really willing to sacrifice your own kid to, save billions? It's like that's kind of hard. Very true.
Even if she felt like his kid, that was kind of like if it was his own daughter that needed to be sacrificed, then I think he'd be more justified.
Well, here's the deal:
everyone else, because it's his own daughter.
Save the world, but the world already took his actual daughter. Like that. That's where my shit comes into play. Like it's the way he sees it is, you're not taking my daughter yet again. But simple answer. So you say not justified?
Yeah, it's justifiable.
Okay.
It's justifiable.
Do you agree, JT?
Okay.
Yes, I agree. It's justifiable. I wouldn't because in the show he talked about how Scar. He was about to commit suicide.
Oh, what the hell?
He almost did.
Yeah,
Because, he missed his daughter.
you're kind of botting over
But then,
there.
he's the reason why.
Botting. You're talking so fast.
No, your connection, it's botting.
Sorry.
It's you sound literally like Domo Arigato, but you did bring up the point that he wanted to off himself and such like that. So, and she brought him back.
Yes.
So yeah, so it justified from you then.
A life for a life.
Yes,
A
justified.
soul for a soul. But yeah, no, that ending though, it was great. Especially the last shot, it was shot for shot. Even the song "A Path, a New Beginning" played at basically the exact same moments as it did in the game, the same facial
I
expressions
gotta
almost,
tell you,
and it was just.
perfect.
Yeah, I'll let Homelander say.
But it still felt
Everything,
natural
down
in
to
the
the
show. It didn't
last
feel like, oh, they're just
minute
doing
detail.
this because it was in the game. We have to do it exactly the same way. They still did it exactly the same way, but made it feel like it was a natural part of the show.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
like it was
So-
originally thought up for the show. Like you could. It was so cool having all these little things show up in the last couple episodes. That now that I'm in the game, seeing what exactly inspired certain choices in the show and what was just new and thought up just for the show. That was really, really neat. That was one of the most fun things about watching this show.
I will say it is making the rest of the PlayStation Studios department sweat a little, because I know Cory Barlog has said that now Amazon and him are sweating because the bar has been set, so now
About
they
God
have to
of War?
do God of War. Chad, the director from John Wick 4, he's saying Ghost of Tsushima. Now he's also saying basically like, man, they raised the ante up on us, and now we got to do something just as respectful and just as good, or else those people like me are gonna come knocking at their doors with the pitchforks and the angry mob and the fire and everything, and we will be justified there too. But with that being said, before I close out the episode, I will say that between interviews with Neil, Craig, Bella Ramsey, and all that, we do know that the second season is expected to come out probably sometime in 2025. The earliest being spring of 2025, kind of like I think they're going to try to aim to keep it in the same window time frame as this season, but only time will tell on that one. They basically did confirm that part 2 of the game is going to be multiple seasons. We don't know if it's going to be 2 or 3 seasons. How they're going to tackle that, because there's so much. If you guys thought there was a decent amount of lore and pacing stuff here, part 2, there's a lot more world building. There's a lot more factions. There's a big, like, the main story itself is twice as long as the first game, so you're looking at like a 36-hour long game in itself. And
I'll just watch gameplay for that one.
yeah, well, that one, yeah, it's a lot tougher to play through. I don't know how they're gonna handle it, because that's my main gripe with the game. I do like the underlying story and the themes that it tackles and how it connects to the first one, but I thought the game had bad pacing issues and was very one-sided in its storytelling, and I don't know how they're going to tackle that. If I'm already thinking that Season 1 had a little bit of pacing issues as a show, I don't know how a bad-paced game, in my opinion, is going to translate into a show. So I hope that they definitely get the funding and such, which it sounds like they did. They see that it's a hit, and Neil said that the second one is going to have more infected because they now have the budget for it. So I hope that in turn that means that they're going to have more of a budget to not just make it 9 episodes, maybe make it 12 or so, because this second game, you definitely do not want to slow down in certain parts. You don't want to speed up in other parts. Like, you want to find that right medium, because if you fail at that, similar to, for me, how the game did, it's going to make me lose interest a bit halfway through, make me lose interest, and it's just, hopefully they manage to figure that out before. But they do have, like, them and you, Mr. Oyman, have 2 years to figure it out. Like you have 2 years, 2 years plus to watch or play the second game. That way you're prepared, and JT can't come in like Thanos and inevitably spoil something for you. But
yeah,
that's the goal.
with that being said, I do want.
I
Go ahead,
sorry,
JT.
What?
Go ahead.
No, I was just
Spoiler
gonna
alert.
close.
Okay,
I was gonna close off the episode, but I'll let you get your final thought.
All right, here's my final thoughts. I'm kind of glad that they're breaking up part 2 into 2 seasons. For me personally, I don't care if they do what the game did for part 2. I kind of feel like part 2 is a challenge, but as long as Neil Druckmann and Craig put their own spin on part 2, and whatever happens, I'll watch it because I'm a fan. But again, we're just Texas what he said. They have 2 years. Part 2 is a big old pill, and so they'll have 2 years to kind of dissect everything, write all the screenplays, and do everything. But I have faith, and so we'll see in 2 years.
I just wonder how if they figure out how not to split the fan base. That's going to be the most interesting part. I'm not even going to, even if I don't tune in for the first part of the second season, I just want to see if the TV side people go the way the video game community went on that one, because that one literally just right down the middle split and has been a civil war over there on the Last of Us fandom for the past 3 fucking years. Yeah, it's pretty bad. If you don't go on any forums or anything, Mr. Oyman, because to this date people are going back and forth about that shit, and
when it came out, I only heard that it was amazing. I didn't hear.
No. Because you only heard the media outlets, and the media outlets places praised it, but the actual community of players and such, it's like a civil war over there. It's terrible. It's very it's crazy out there. But with that being said, I want to go ahead and thank the audience who came in, like Derpy earlier in the episode, and anyone who tuned in to listen to us live. I hope we covered all the topics to your liking. And, of course, I want to go ahead and thank you, the panel, for having another week with fantastic conversations. Definitely had some great talking points today. And I appreciate, of course, you, JT, for not spoiling part 2 today. But I appreciate you, JT. I appreciate you, Mr. Joe Star. And, of course, my co-host, Mr. Oyman. And with that being said, if you guys if it's your first time listening, we hope we could get you back for another future episode. And if it's not your first time listening and you haven't hit that button, go ahead and hit the subscribe and like button so that you could keep up with our content, which hopefully we get more gameplay live streams here soon. Maybe some funny skits like the Black Adam one we did a few weeks back. There's a lot of stuff that I got planned. I just need to find the time and hopefully get these guys on board to help me out with that. But y'all have until next time, and y'all have a fantastic weekend.
You know how much I sacrificed?